welcome back. That left you something to think about. If any of you listened to what I read there, that left you something to think about. I suggest you get a copy of this ordinance, 12273, and resolution number 75822. I'll read the last section that I'm going to read, and then I'll tell you about the rent arbitration program and what they are supposed to be doing here. Hello, caller.
Doing?
Hi.
Fine. I want to ask, this is questions for Cheryl. I wanted to know if, like, I'm paying back a judgment for welfare fraud.
Who?
For welfare fraud, I'm paying back a judgment.
Yes.
I'm paying a judgment like every month at Central Collections.
Are you still receiving AFDC?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Okay.
To Central Collections?
Yeah, I pay every month. And what I want to know, by me paying every month, will they take the income tax refund?
They can.
They can.
Okay.
Okay, they can.
Yeah.
And they may do just that.
Okay.
If you have a large balance remaining, it's a possibility they'll do that.
Okay, and then another question, like the reason that I was gotten for welfare fraud, well, actually I was working and not reporting, whatever.
Right.
We were talking about that a couple of Saturdays ago, and
right.
we couldn't get through to, you was encouraging people to write the appropriate things on their CA7s, and I just wanted to just sit myself in agreement with that, and that's true that they need to be truthful, because I got caught in that way. And then once I got myself, did the one-day time serve and all that, went through the rituals, I came back and they said that, well, you didn't report your husband was staying with you. Okay, and I didn't do that, so they put another $1,000 on it. But what I'm saying is that now, like I have one son that's father that's not, I only have two boys. One of them is not receiving anything from the dad. So I was getting aid just for him. And now they cut me off because since the husband has to be the head of the household and apply, and he doesn't want to, so now he doesn't get anything.
Okay, are you saying that I want to narrow this down. Are you saying that you feel that you're eligible to receive the benefits, but they told you that the husband had to be the head of the case?
Exactly.
Okay, are you two still living together?
And she said the husband needed to, I sent her the proper documents of him for his Social Security card. He's not working and things like that she wanted. But she said he has to sign, come like and apply, because he's the head of the household.
Okay, are you still together?
Excuse me?
Are you two still together?
Yes.
Okay, that's what's creating the problem, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, if you weren't together.
Clarity on that, but that's okay, because the Lord is making a way anyway and doing what he's supposed to do. So I just thank you for that advice. I just want to know about the income tax return.
Okay.
And I will be.
You need to call me about earned income credit. Hopefully we'll be able to show a video in the next week or so pertaining to earned income credit.
Okay.
And you need to call me so I can tell you how, because you can maybe be able to get up to as much as $3,000 back.
Okay.
On your return. So give us a call at that bottom number.
Okay, thanks a million here.
Okay. Thank you for calling. Yes, and thank you for giving us that information about welfare fraud. I can't stress. Just can't. There's no overstressing. Report everything. They have ways to find out everything. It's on computer, and a lot of those computers are talking to each other. And you think that you're not going to be caught. Don't think that if you're working and if they're taking taxes out and your employer is doing what they're supposed to do, as far as IRS is concerned, then IRS is going to let the county know whether you are involved into any employment, because they're going to provide the county with that information, and the county is going to go back and check their records to see if you've been reporting any of this income. And how they determine whether you did it intentionally or it was an error is based on how you complete that monthly form that you're supposed to turn in, the CW7. It used to be called the CA7, but it's called the CW7 now. And a lot of people don't realize that They've changed the wording on it. If you've been on welfare for many, many years, they've changed the wording on that document, and you're still checking no, 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 no when they're asking you to report pretty much everything.
Yep.
Years ago, they used to say if you receive cash money of, I believe it was either $25 or $20 or less, you didn't have to report that. But people started playing with that little $20. They got $21, they didn't report it, and it said $20 or less, or or $22. They said, well, it's only $10 more, $30, and then it just went up and up, and then it was $100 they didn't report. So now they're saying report everything.
Yep.
And if you think being paid cash under the table and all that stuff is you're not gonna get caught, that's not true. People are being caught daily that are receiving cash under the table. Most of the time it's through someone reporting it. And it's most of the time it's a relative or a friend. Not a stranger, of course,
Right.
but it's a relative or a friend that reports it.
Somebody you've told.
Well, you don't necessarily have to tell them. Your daily actions will let them know that you're on welfare. Okay, if they're around you that much, they know they see what you're doing. You go in the store, you're using food stamps when you go to the store. If they're that close with you and you're doing things, they see that you're participating in governmental programs. Okay, so you don't have to tell them I'm on welfare. There are things that you're going to do that's going to let them know that you are. And then at the same time you're working, they may assume that you are not reporting it and still call, because we've had people that called and reported people working, but they didn't realize they were reporting it. Okay, so you were just calling for nothing. But a lot of times people call and you hadn't reported that earnings, and you can go jail. And that goes for not only earned income, unearned income. You're supposed to report it. That could be insurance policies, and you got lawsuit settlements, and even if you have a trust that you can't even touch but it's for your children, they're not gonna bother with it, because the way it's written up, you can't bother with it.
Right.
But you're still supposed to report that.
Right.
Things like that. We had one girl that got $50,000 in insurance, okay? And they were still working on her family's estate. Well, see, she's off welfare for sure now, because when they sold the house, they got $500,000 for her parents' house. But prior to that, they had money in the bank accounts and stuff. Well, she got $50,000. Didn't report it to welfare, okay? She went around buying diamonds and gold and everything, and somebody told. Because they knew she was still on welfare and she hadn't reported it. Well,
the welfare turned into mad money, see, at that time.
Welfare turned into mad money, Well, you can't do that. And see, and I stress that in my workshops consistently to the people that come to my workshop, and I run into them that they don't want to report it. I'm telling them, report it. I will help you fill out the form so you would do it correctly. But you have to report those earnings, because you'll end up being the one doing that 20 years behind bars for welfare fraud and food stamp fraud and Medi-Cal fraud. And, they'll have about 95 counts of fraud against you.
They're all separate counts,
But thank you for calling. And I wish more people would call in and verify, or, do a testimonial and so you'll realize how many people are really convicted of welfare fraud.
A lot of them.
A lot of them, And what happens, even if they don't arrest you, now you got a felony against your case. And a lot of people don't want to report that felony, and it's going to show up if you're trying to apply for a job that's going to do a background check. Welfare fraud is going to show up. And, you don't want no fraud against you, because that will prevent you from getting certain jobs.
Okay, do we have a caller IND?
I didn't see.
Okay.
Okay, let me read number C here real quick for you, because I just did Section 8.22.060B, and maybe I'll give that one to you again, and then I'll go into C because we had a break, and you may not. Okay, here's B. Setting rents on vacant covered rental units, except as provided in Section 8.22.060C4. I'm reading B now. At initial occupancy of a covered rental unit by a tenant where the immediate prior tenant vacated the covered rental unit after the landlord initiated the termination of the vacancy by use of a notice given pursuant to California Civil Code 1946, the annual permissible rent increase is 0% for the new tenant or any other new tenant for the 24 months following the vacancy by the immediate prior tenant. That's number one. Number two, for purposes of Section 8.22.060B1, the zero annual permissible rent increase applies to the last rent charged to and paid by the vacating immediate prior tenant. Okay, I'm going to go to C, standards for rent increase in excess of the annual permissible rent increase. Any rent increase which exceeds the annual permissible rent increase for an occupied covered rental unit or a covered rental unit vacated under grounds set out in Section 8.22.060B1, which I read a moment ago, must be justified on one or more of the following grounds. Okay, A, they're changing 1 to A now. You see they're restructuring this. I'll just read them. Capital improvement costs, uninsured repair costs, increase in housing service costs, past history of rent increases, debt service costs, any other factors that hearing officer and the board deem relevant. It must be justified using one or more of those grounds there, and that's how they're getting you out of the properties also. I'll go and read a little bit of this. Except as provided in Section 8.22.060C4, for an occupied covered rental unit, a landlord may give the tenant rent increases in excess of the annual permissible rent increase, subject to the tenant's right to submit a petition contesting the increase pursuant to Section 8.22.080, or the landlord may petition for approval of such rent increases pursuant to Section 8.22.080. For a covered rental unit where the most recent prior tenant vacated pursuant to Section 8.22.060B1, when within the first 24 months of such vacancy, the landlord seeks to increase the rent above the last rent charged to the immediate prior tenant, the landlord must petition and obtain final approval for any rent increase based on the standards set out in Section 8.22.060C1. Now, that's all of the improvements, uninsured repair costs, and all of that. They're going to have to provide, basically they're going to have to provide documentation of it, is what they're saying. Now, I'm going to read this because we've had some problems on what is considered an increase in rent. I want to read this section. A reduction in housing services is considered an increase in rent. Now, housing services include, they had a section in here on housing services, you know, which included if you were paying the PG&E, the water, and whatever the other things that you were getting included in your rent. That's called banking. And if a landlord chooses not to increase his or her rent in excess of the annual permissible rent increase, he or she reserves the right to carry over, that means banking, the remaining allowable percentage increases to succeeding 12-month periods subject to the limitations set forth in the rules and procedures. Okay, I wanted to talk a little bit about that, let you hear that too. But in the meantime, this is a long document. It gets into the hearing process, how you can appeal things, and it tells about retaliation. I better talk a little bit about the retaliation. Well, they've changed it from retaliation eviction. It's to evictions and eviction notices. A landlord may not recover possession of a rental unit in retaliation against a tenant for exercising his or her rights pursuant to this chapter. If a landlord attempts to recover a rental unit from the date of the original filing of a petition and within 6 months after the notice of final decision, such recovery will be rebuttable, presumed to be in retaliation against the tenant for the exercise of his or her rights pursuant to this chapter. So there are landlords out there that are doing retaliation stuff. And they're saying that a landlord shall not evict a tenant pursuant to California Civil Code 1946 in order to retaliate a covered rental unit without, now this is how without first obtaining a city building permit when required to do the proposed work on the premises. Okay. Okay? Now, what happens is tenants call folks all over the world. We got rats, roaches, the place needs to be fixed up. And so the landlord evicts you. Then he said, well, you got to go. Well, if he does that, he does have to get the work done on the property. Okay, he has to get the work done. Now, and these laws are there. Now, I'm pretty sure the tenants don't know this and are evicted.
Right.
And then another thing, when you receive that 30-day notice, it requires more than that to get you out. You have a chance to go to court and everything. And what people aren't doing is going to court. You go to court, they evict you, they say, you have to get out in 30 days. It takes them longer than 30 days to get you out of there.
If you
have a chance to fight it.
If you don't want to leave, it takes at least 60 days to get you.
Maybe even up to 90 days before they get you out of there.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, if you want to fight it, don't just spend the rent money.
Right.
Okay? You can put it in a escrow account, or you can put it in your own bank account if you want to keep it, if you think you'll be able to keep it. Because when you do go to court, the judge may say you can stay there, but you're going to have to pay all that back rent from what you didn't pay or what that landlord would not take from you, because they don't want to collect any more money, because that notice they gave you wouldn't mean anything.
They can't collect any more money, right.
Well, if they do collect it, they have to start that whole process,
over again, right.
Right. So they're not going to collect it, but you need to keep it, because if you win, the landlord is going to have to let you stay there, but you got to pay him all that back money. And then if the place is that in bad a shape, the judge is going to tell him he has to fix that place up.
Right.
You know.
We've got a phone call.
Hello, caller.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Gary Rosser. I'm with the Port of Oakland. I have a job announcement. What I'll do, I'll read the flyer to you directly, and if you have any questions.
Is it possible for you to fax that to me also?
Yes, I will. Soon, if I could do this, I want to get in before your time is up.
Yeah, go ahead.
Pardon?
Go on.
Okay, it says earn extra money for Christmas, 100 immediate openings. The Employment Resource 5 years variable employment, school history, no felonies, security clearance required, must be able to lift 50 to 60 pounds on a continuous basis. You must be a reliable, dependable, punctual. 2 forms of ID. Now how to apply. You call area code 5110-627-1418 or same area code 627-1590. Call as soon as possible. Now, let me explain something. For the weekend, I advise you to call these numbers. You'll get the voicemail, but the information you'll need when you call, you leave your name, your telephone number, and you must tell us we're having orientations on Tuesday and Wednesday. Now, you can either, the sessions are from 9:30 to 11:30, or in the afternoon from 2 to 4. Now, that'll be on Tuesday and Wednesday. Now, Wednesday will be the cutoff date. The reason being is that you have to be processed. Because you're working for the government, it's a very lengthy application form. And we do orientations. We're putting the package together for you. When we put the package together, you would then go to the company itself, and they will do the drug testing. So if you start on the 12th, then it's going to take about 5 days of verification and processing. So there's about 20 pages that we're going to have to go through step by step. So when you leave that office, your package is going to be together. And so if you're interested and you truly want to get a job, and this is no hype, you get your package together, you get your zip codes together from where you've lived for 5 years, where you've worked for 5 years. If you're 18 years old and you've been in school, then that's verifiable. If you've been with living at home for 5 years with your mom and dad, that's verifiable. So that's no problem. Now, it's very important that I state there's no felonies, so you can't skate on through. So if you say, well, I did it a long time ago, no felonies, because you're working for the government, and the FAA and the Postal Service, they must have no felonies. So if you have any questions, I'll take your questions.
Okay, could you fax me that?
Yes, I plan on doing that. So
Okay.
Could I repeat that number? Or?
Yeah, why don't
Yes,
you
repeat the
phone
number.
numbers? Yeah.
Okay, now you'll get, like I said, over the weekend, you'll get the voicemail, but please, call. That's area code 510, and the number is 627-1418. Now, my name is Gary. You'll either talk to me or Charles. Okay?
Very good,
Okay,
Gary. Let me give you our fax number.
Okay, one moment. Let me get a pen.
Sure.
Okay, now, do you heard what he said? No felonies.
Okay, what's that fax number?
Area code 510 536
536
3280.
3280. Okay, thank you very much, and have a Merry Christmas.
Yeah, and thank you for calling.
And thank you for calling, giving us that information. As you see, I told you felonies can hurt you. Okay?
Yep.
Here you got a welfare fraud felony for a few $100s, and now you can't get a job making $10 an hour or more.
It was $14 to $19.
Well, they won't. Some people are not. You're not going to be able to get minimum wages on some of these jobs if you have a felony, and some people are lenient. If the charge is not related to the job that you are applying for, they may, and you tell them the truth, they may hire you anyway.
Now the government.
But the government is tough.
Yeah.
But no, not not necessarily so, because they will hire you.
It depends on where you're.
They will.
What area you're in.
Right, but you got to tell them the truth, because they are going to do a background check.
Sure are.
And if it's related to your crime that you committed is related to the job that you're applying for, of course you're not going to get that job. What I do is I tell people, if you robbed a bank, don't go and apply for a job at Bank of America.
Yeah, well.
You know, if you know you're a child sex offender, don't go to apply for a job at a child care center. You know, that type stuff. Okay, I think we have a caller. Or is that a break?
Yeah.
Hello, caller.
Assalamu alaikum to Sister Mary and also Brother Finest.
Hey, how you doing?
Walaikum salam.
Yeah, this is Malik. I was just calling. That was a great bunch of information you just got there. The only thing that I have to say is, look at the hypocrisy. All the crimes that Clinton and everybody else commit. Don't they have government jobs? You know?
Well,
you
see,
know,
come on,
concubinage and all this old stuff he's doing. You know,
you gotta be somebody.
Okay, let me get back to the serious side.
I am somebody.
Yes, sir. I see that must be the in crowd that gets to do that. Okay, I also wanted to ask some questions about, he said no felonies. I was wondering, he didn't mention medical benefits, hourly hours worked. Would it be in shifts?
Well, here's the thing.
Well,
now, these are temporary jobs, okay?
This is what I'm trying to say.
I'm pretty sure the ones that...
You're probably not going to have any benefits or any of
Right,
that.
exactly.
And he said that they're all shifts.
Right.
You know, all shifts, and he gave pretty much the money.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Now, if we're saying something that is untrue, I'm sure he's going to call back. But the thing is, they're temporary jobs, but they very easily could work into a permanent job.
Yeah, and
So-
the location as well. You know, because people need to know this if they're, because right now I make 15.
Well, the location is at the airport.
But yeah, this is what I'm saying though. In order for us to make a good decision on planning on being there and doing that for those 2 days, if we could get the location and some of the, you know, some of the meat, because it's a lot of jobs out there.
Kenny?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to address that after you get off.
I sure will.
Okay.
And you guys have a good show. Have a good day.
Okay. Basically, what I teach my people that come through the workshop, when you know that there's a job opening, you get out there and meet the manager and find out as much about the job as you possibly can. But before that, when talking to the managers, you're going to have to sell your ability to do that job. Don't go there asking for benefits and all this stuff before you sell your abilities and your skills, because you won't be hired. So that's the reason why they don't give you that information. They want to see you. They want to see and talk to you. That first impression is what they're looking for. And they're going to see how you interview. You're going to go through the paperwork and possibly interview all in that one day.
And a lot of that stuff is negotiable anyway.
And it is, but see, there's a way you have to do it. If you go in there asking about benefits, how much I'm going to make, in which the man already told you that, so you don't have to talk about that. And do you have health insurance and vacation and stuff? Prior to selling your abilities and skills and strengths, you know, and letting them know that you can do that job, you flunked interview. That's how you flunk interview instantly, by not selling yourself prior to getting the information that's really, really important to you, because that's very important information. You want to know what hours you work. You want to know if there's advancement. You want to know, you know, all kinds of things. Do you have health insurance and all that? That's very important. But please do not initiate that discussion yourself prior to selling your strengths.
Okay.
I think we have a caller. Hello,
phone call,
caller.
or is that a break?
Well, was that a break?
Yes.
Hello,
Here
caller.
again, you had some questions regarding that job. This is a temporary job.
Right.
And it's only from the 12th to the 30th. And consequently, they're paying you money. Primarily what you're doing, they're getting the overload for the mail, for the
Right, for
they have a
Christmas.
contract with the U.S. Post Office.
Yeah.
And so that place, you're going to be working in the warehouse, and you're going to be hauling mail, and it's going to be cold out there, and you're doing labor work.
Right.
And it's going to be very speedy. They're very flexible with the hours. If you choose to work at, say, from 2 o'clock in the morning to 10, if you want to work part-time, if you want to work full-time, I mean, here's a chance for you to pick up $1,000 for that Christmas money and get those babies those presents they want.
That's right.
And so consequently, it's just a good, solid job where you're gonna do a job and they're gonna give you a paycheck. But you've got to work for it. And the first step is you've got to make this application. They're going to come in, you're going to see this big package of papers. Jesus Christ, I got to do all this for 3 weeks' work. Yeah, but you're going to have $1,000 in your pocket.
There you go.
So I mean, if you can make $1,000 in 3 weeks, and you need some Christmas money, if you're really serious about a job, you give me a call, and I guarantee you. I'm not guaranteeing. I take that back. I can't guarantee you, but there's a high likelihood that you can get on. They need 100 people, and so money is not an object with them. They want to get the job done, to get your mail to your parents down there in Bogalusa, Mississippi, or whatever. This is a government-funded job.
Right.
So, I mean, no, there are no benefits. But there's a disclaimer, if you get hurt on the accident, you're going to be compensated for it. So, in other words, they're not going to do anything to get you killed, but they're there for you to work.
Right.
They've got to move the mail. One of the first things they said when this nation was founded, keep the mail moving.
That's right.
And they're going to pay you for it. So if you're truly interested in getting a job, you call the number, and I'm quite sure they'll be kind enough to give it to you. You get my voicemail, and the first, like I say, the first orientation will be on Tuesday from 9:30 to 11:30, that afternoon from 2 to 4, and then on Wednesday, which will be the final day, the same times, 9:30 to 11:30, and 2 to 4. And that's it, okay?
Give them that number again.
Okay, I'm sorry, I just left my flyer here. Okay, just give me a moment. Okay, why don't you talk while I find the flyer? I had to come back from the phone. Okay, yes, the number is 627-1418 or 627-1590. Okay, and you'll talk to Gary or Charles. It doesn't, regardless of either one, we will attend your needs, and we will call you back. Now, please, when you call, when you give your phone number, please don't rattle it through. Say it very slowly. I know you'll have limited time on the voicemail, but don't just rattle it, because we have to write it down. So just be very, very precise. Give me your name. And if you have a difficult name, please spell it out for us, please. And then when you give your phone number, give the area code and say it very slowly. We want to return your calls. This is not a hype. We're here to give you jobs. And I'm calling what we are, we're the Port of Oakland. And we own the lands, we don't own the airport. People say, well, it's the port, it's only ships. Well, they're landlords.
Yeah.
And everybody, we service everyone in downtown area. The Port of Oakland owns half the property.
That's right.
So people are not aware of that.
Right.
So we are the city. The city owns a lot of property. And so we're here to service the people who work downtown. And one of the tenants of the Port of Oakland is the airport. They need helpers, and we're here to find them helpers. And you people out there are the people that can help us help yourselves.
Yep.
Okay, I'm gone.
Okay.
Thanks for calling.
Yes, thanks for calling
Okay,
back.
so as you can see, you know, if you need some extra money,
Yeah, there's going to be
and
a lot of
you know,
Christmas jobs available.
if you know somebody that's standing out in front of the liquor store now, don't have no felonies and all that, needs a job, $15 an hour to $19 an hour.
That's pretty good money.
You might want to go down there and let them know that they need to call those numbers. Okay.
That's right. Okay, the city of Oakland has a little
Pamphlet,
or
flyer,
flyer.
whatever. Yeah.
It's the City of Oakland Rent Arbitration Program, and you can get this information. This will be the last blurb I'll do on the rental thing. Anyone that want to know how to get this information, just give me a call at that bottom number later on. But I'll read this to you real quickly. The City of Oakland has a rent arbitration program designed to stabilize rents for existing tenants of eligible residential units. Eligible residential units. Buildings constructed since 1983 are exempt from the law, as are buildings that have had rehabilitation worth more than 50% of the building's pre-rehabilitation value. Some other units, notably single-family units and condominiums, may become decontrolled pursuant to state law.
Yeah, that's the word is pursuant.
Pursuant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right. If a building is covered by the law, the landlord may not raise rents by more than the allowable general rate of increase, currently 3% per year, except in certain allowable circumstances. Those circumstances may include some instances where capital improvements have been made, and some instances where total housing costs of the landlord for the building have increased. For example, a tenant may petition the rent board if a landlord increases rent beyond the allowable general rate of increase. If a landlord issues a 30-day notice to vacate, Section 1946 California law, to a tenant, the landlord must include the tenant's current rent in the 30-day notice and must file a copy of the 30-day notice with the rent board. She must post the previous tenant's rent and also give notice to the new tenant that the previous tenant was issued a 30-day notice. A landlord who issues a 30-day notice may not increase the rent of the vacated unit for 24 months unless the landlord successfully petitions the rent board for an increase during that time. Landlords are required to issue a notice in a particular format, and it's on the other side. See the other side, they say, to a tenant at the initiation of a tenancy and at any change in terms of the tenancy.
Okay, we've got to take a break.
Now, what you should do is go and pick up this, because it breaks down on just this little small form, and you can get this at the Housing, Residential, Rent and Relocation Board, 250 Frank H. Agawa Plaza, Suite 5313, or call area code 510-238-3721, and you can get more information.
Okay.
I think it's time for us to take a break.
Yep.
Okay, time for us to take a break. Now, don't you go nowhere.
You can go if you got to go to the bathroom.